And this, of course, involves invoking state law to allow us to deficit spend in snow and ice. So if you'd like to just explain the...
Sure. Hello again. It's that time of year. We're budgeted a total of $326,350 each year for snow and ice removal. $75,000 of that is for overtime only. The rest is for operation and maintenance expenses. At this point, we have, as of yesterday, we have $1,800 left in personal services for overtime and $32,500 in operation and maintenance. So we're getting pretty thin on it, and I'm requesting that we deficit spend.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Okay, so there's no
Mic check! Mic check! Mic check! Mic check! We know that there's some important decisions being made.
We know that there's some important decisions being made.
And we have something to say.
And we have something to say.
We want to tell you how we want our money to be spent.
We want to tell you how we want our money to be spent.
We need money for
We need money for
schools,
schools,
Public space.
public space,
Healthcare.
healthcare,
Food for the hungry.
food for the hungry,
Homes for the homeless.
homes for the homeless,
places to assemble,
places to assemble,
Senior centers.
senior center,
education,
education,
the arts,
the arts,
Orchards.
orchards,
Rehabilitation facilities.
rehabilitation facilities,
Community-supported agriculture.
community-supported agriculture,
Not a four-story prison.
not a four-story prison,
No more tax cuts for the military-industrial complex in our town.
no more tax cuts for the military-industrial complex in our town,
no more tax cuts for large corporations like Coca-Cola,
no more tax cuts for large corporations like Coca-Cola,
Who profit off diabetes.
who profit off diabetes,
And Cole Morgan,
and Cole Morgan,
defense contractor.
the defense contractor,
And J.P. Morgan.
and J.P. Morgan.
Thief.
We don't need a 4-story, $20 million police station.
We don't need a 4-story, $20 million police station.
It's way oversized for our town and over budgeted.
It's way oversized for our town and over budgeted.
And we'll be paying the debt for a long time, 20 years, right?
And we'll be paying the debt for a long time.
20 years.
None of you will be on the council in 20 years.
None of you will be on the council in 20 years.
We will still be here in 20 years.
We will still be here in 20 years.
and so will you.
And so will you.
Why should our children pay these debts?
Why should our children pay these debts?
And what are you going to do about it?
And what are you going to do about it?
And what are we going to do about it?
And what are we going to do about it?
Mic check.
Mic check.
Get involved in local government, show up on time so that you can participate in the discussion when it's going on instead of showing up after the fact to complain.
Please show up at the Occupy meetings to learn direct democracy.
Yeah, please show up at city council meetings to learn about participating in your local
Here right
government.
now.
This is our local
David.
government.
And we
Here.
David.
Help us.
Why is the agenda always set by the people who have property?
Always set by the people who have property.
How often does the city council
How often does the city council
consider the needs of people who don't own property?
consider the needs of people who don't own property?
Let's go back and look at the agendas and see how many people who don't own property are heard, their interests are looked out for,
Their interests are looked out for,
beyond just the people who have land.
beyond just the people who have land
And businesses.
And businesses.
Smith College, the largest landowner in the city of Northampton, pays no taxes. Has a lot of property. There are two buildings. Just by the Art Center. That should be used for public space. They wanted to take them down to put up parking lots. The Historical Commission. Gave that a one-year reprieve. But that space should be used for the community instead of torn down.
Thank you all for coming this evening. We are in the middle of a city council meeting, and appreciate you coming in to speak with us, but we would like to resume our regular business. You're obviously welcome to stay and watch. Thank you very much.
No more business as usual.
We're occupying the city council tonight.
We are occupying the city council tonight. Woo!
Thank you.
Speak out
Speak out
about how we think this shit city should be.
Thank you.
I'm terribly concerned about this deficit spending that you're talking about here, Mr. Huntley.
Terribly concerned about this deficit spending that we're talking about.
So maybe in light of all the comments that the residents and protesters are making, we shouldn't be deficit spending on snow removal. Could you elaborate what would be the problems with that?
We'd stop plowing the streets.
talking about that.
We'd stop plowing the streets if we were allowed to deficit spend.
Oh. I take back my comments.
No more CO2.
Okay. So, are there any other?
No more robbing the people to pay the bankers.
Okay, I would like to ask you, we do have rules of decorum that we ask people to observe when they're here. I've allowed you to speak out of turn of the rules, but we do need to finish the business of the council tonight. Again, you're welcome. It includes all the people of Northampton who we are elected to represent. And so we're trying to do the business that we were elected to represent.
Are we not allowed to be involved in the conversation?
Actually, there is a public comment time reserved at the.
About a conversation.
Actually, no, the rules of our.
You all think that we should continue our conversation here because this is our place, then I'd like to see a show of hands whether we should continue. If you would like to leave, then I'd like to see downward signals for us to leave. So do folks think that we should stay here and continue this conversation? I see mixed signals here. So I propose that we stay for another few minutes and continue our conversation and then let the city council get back to their business. Maybe we could just think about a few more things that we want the city council to think about, and then
Could I ask for a show of hands of how many people here are residents of Northampton? Great. Just wanted to understand that.
If I may, and this is clearly we're having a challenge with decorum here anyway, but the operative term that Rose had mentioned, of course, is conversation. And I think, unfortunately, the way the structure is here, conversation, we're not facilitating conversation. And I think it's important that it's critical because the points that you bring up all actually have answers and responses. We're not able to respond to you, at least if we adhere to our rules, which we subscribe to, in a fashion that would be even close to satisfactory. And I understand that what this is a demonstration, and it's not for purposes of it necessarily an exchange of what we find or what we would call a conversation. But I don't think you'll find a single person in here who isn't open to a conversation, particularly about all the issues that you raised. And I appreciate the fact that this is a demonstration, but I don't want it to come at the peril and the loss of a conversation. I would like to have the conversation and continue the conversation in a system and a circumstance that would lend itself to just that, a conversation, give an exchange of notions and thoughts.
Can I take another temperature check here? I did see that folks were interested in having a little bit more conversation here right now. but maybe we can call on the city council then to say, at what point are you going to open up a forum for us to have a real conversation about this? And I'd like to see like a deadline of a date on when we can make sure that that's happened.
To that very point, in my capacity as council president, I would be glad to convene something along that line. I think that's appropriate and something that is more of an open workshop structure as opposed to a formal structure where we're sitting at a table here staring at you and you staring at us and conferring some power on us. And
So can you tell us by what date that you're going to?
You want to look at Google calendars?
I mean, I'm just saying, let's throw out a date.
Got our calendars.
Give me a date.
A date.
Thursday.
Next Thursday?
How about,
By next Thursday, you will propose a date to have an open conversation.
Do you want me to propose a date by next Thursday too?
Is the budget being passed?
The budget's not being passed tonight.
Till May.
We're discussing a cost overrun for snow plowing. And if you have a vested interest in that, then it might be too late by the time we have our conversation, but I suspect that that's not germane necessarily to your concern.
so why don't, can one person in this room be empowered to then talk with Bill about a proposed date, or by Thursday, what date we're gonna meet, and then in our group, we can come up with a facilitation team that will work with Bill on creating what that meeting looks like. So,
And what issues you're addressing,
Yeah.
especially
So-
text.
yeah,
text
so
write-offs.
who
I wonder if
in will
may
work
want to
with
step
Bill?
off and have a discussion.
I know. Call a recess? Call a recess?
We'll just continue with the meeting.
I vote yes.
Okay.
See, that's what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Are there any other,
D. Dwight at Comcast.net.
are there any other questions for Mr. Huntley?
No.
All right.
If you want my address or contact
Are
information.
folks
You prepared?
ready to take a vote on this?
Yes.
Yeah. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Great, thank you, have a nice evening.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you, Mr. Huntley.
Are the 99%. We are the 99%. And so are you. 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 Are the 99%. We are the 99%. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. 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 We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
Just waiting for regular order and we'll proceed.
Another world is possible.
We are unstoppable.
Okay.
Another world is possible.
We have two more items before us. We have adopted the order regarding the deficit spending on snow and ice. There's two late files that, that was first reading on the deficit spending, I'm sorry. I have two late files that I would request a suspension of rules for purposes of referral on those.
Suspend Rule 38. Second.
Okay, so there's been a motion made and seconded to suspend Rule 38. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So the first item is upon the recommendation of the Agricultural Commission. This is a miscellaneous fee for farmer's market permit, and this would be for referral to the Ordinance Committee.